have a comment. C. Jones says, I received your seeds recently and I'm so excited. Awesome. Hey, if you are having trouble, I think I'm having trouble with my connection. Hey, see if that works. Hey there. Happy Friday. I am Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and welcome to our weekly chat. I am normally live on Thursdays, but this week we had a little bit of a minor emergency, so we're here on Friday. Whew. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had an amazing week. I hope it was successful and productive for all of you. Hey, welcome. So tonight we're going to talk about greens. We are going to, oh, Jane says it's working. Awesome. Thank you. So for those of you who are new to our channel, I am Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and we moved to East Texas back in June of 2021. So we haven't even been here a year. Dreamweaver says, it's been a hot mess, but you're ready to plant tomorrow. I am ready to plant today. I have seeds in hand, and I have a nifty ruler. Joseph says, got 2 greenhouses. Awesome. I've got a nifty ruler here to share with some of you. Hey, Kaylin, thanks for joining me. We are actually going to plant seeds today. I'm super excited. It is in the 70s today, but it was in the 30s like 2 days ago. So I was hesitant to plant anything. But part of what I want to talk to you about is cool tolerant crops, specifically greens. And we're actually going to plant these greens tonight. I'm going to show you how absolutely positively easy it is to plant greens. So I want to talk to you about some of the greens that we have. But before I get started, I want to share all of the updates, which is just a short and sweet info. In the description section of this video, you will find, hey, Melissa, I got bugs flying everywhere. In the description section of this video, you will find a couple links, specifically our companion planting guide, which is in our comprehensive planting guide. You'll see a link to Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and you'll also see a link to sign up for our emails. Our emails, if you do sign up, we don't sell your information. All of your information is just kept private here within Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and we send you weekly, sometimes bi-weekly info on growing and seeds and awesomeness. So today I'm going to talk about greens. We're going to talk about cool tolerant. We're going to talk about a little bit of the warm tolerant, but mostly cool. For some of you, it is hot. For some of you, it is cold, and I have a bug flying around me, so just give me a second before it ends up in my mouth. So for us here, we have a slightly shorter growing season here in East Texas than we did in Southern California, but we're only talking about 20 or 30 days. So to get a head start on that, I planted some seeds indoors. And I won't be transplanting those today because most of what we planted indoors already is herbs and peppers, mostly because peppers take a lot longer. We recently announced 2 insanely awesome announcements, actually. One is our February seed sale. March seed sale. We had a February seed sale, and now we have a March seed sale. It goes through the 15th of March. That information is available on our website, which is marysheirloomseeds.com. We also sent that out in an email to all of our customers. Speaking of the email list. Now, the second announcement we made, sorry, having trouble talking apparently. It's Friday, there's bugs out, it's finally warm, and I'm really enjoying being outside. The second announcement we made is double the seeds. And some people were a little confused. They were thinking that we were going to double their entire order, but the announcement was very clear. There were a handful of seeds varieties that we actually doubled the amount of seeds in that pack, and we listed those on our website. Sorry, I don't need my silly fingers in the way. Alan says usually a freeze in March in Houston. Yes, so I am preparing for a freeze. So what I'm planting right now is cool weather stuff. But back to the double the seeds announcement. So there's a couple of varieties, and it specifically states which varieties they are, like Little Gem, Summer Bib, And those varieties, we are doubling the seeds in each pack. So instead of getting 100 seeds in a pack, you're going to get 200 seeds in a pack, and those are available on our website. Hey, Joanne, thanks for joining us. Hey, Alan, thanks for joining us as well. Alan is just joining us in Texas as well. So that information is available on our website. If you sign up for our email list, you'll get it right away, or you can always check out Mary's blog. If you don't want to get my emails, which is totally fine, you can always check out our blog and you get more information. Totally sidetracked by bugs right now. It's been so cold, we haven't had bugs. And for some of you, you're like, ew, bugs. I hate the bugs outside. I am loving the warmer weather right now. Maybe not the bugs, but whatever. The bugs go with it. If you're just joining me, welcome. I'm Mary at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. Please hit that like, that thumbs up button for our video, and share this video with your friends if you'd like. So let's talk about cool weather greens. It is March 4th today, 2022. We had 30-degree weather the other day, and we have 70-degree weather today. So it's a little weird of back and forth weather, but I guess this is normal for our area in East Texas. Some of you are totally used to it, and I'm just getting used to it. So romaine and butterhead lettuce are two cool, tolerant, probably the most tolerant varieties of, hey, Keith from Central New York. So romaine and butterhead varieties are usually the most cool tolerant and frost tolerant greens out there. Lettuce is a cool weather crop in general. It thrives in cool temperatures around 60 to 65 degrees. That isn't always outside temperature, because right now we're specifically talking about soil temperature because we're going to be planting the seeds. Generally, the seeds germinate best in 75 degrees of the soil, not the outside temperature, which would be 60 to 65. Now, once you have your plants hardened off, or once you have your plants established, you can actually grow lettuce in down to 20 degrees outside if you cover them, if you have the proper covering, like a greenhouse, row covers. Sometimes people will put like a plastic container over it to keep it warm in that area. We had some mustard and it froze. It got down to 22 degrees here, and my mustard turned to mush because I didn't cover it. I have been growing, I'm reading a comment, I've been growing lettuce and literally picking lettuce every day. I have Bib ready now, and you're in zone 9. So we're in zone 8 where it's still cold. And like I said, had I covered my lettuce, I still would have had it growing now. I still have a ton of cilantro growing, so that's a plus. I'm gonna pick some of that for our salad tonight. Yes, you can actually eat cilantro in your salad. Some people don't like it. I love it. I won't be planting any now, right this second, because I still have a lot growing. Now, mustard greens are another cool weather crop. What do I have here for mustard? I think I did grab a mustard seed pack before I left. Japanese red giant mustard. This is an amazing variety, and it is part of our March seed sale this month. Now, mustard greens are definitely a cool weather crop. They're good for spring and fall, but I will give you a fair warning. They are kind of spicy. So if you like spicy, definitely go with some mustard. If you don't like spicy lettuce, maybe it isn't for you. I have grown the mustard, and even if I don't like it as spicy sometimes, cooking it up is no problem. Swiss chard. Swiss chard is my all-time favorite. It's not a lettuce, but it is a green. In the words of Catherine from Little Bits of Heaven Homestead, check her out on YouTube if you haven't already. She says that Swiss chard is bomb-proof. Is perpetual spinach a mustard green? No, it is not. Perpetual spinach is a Swiss chard. So good timing on your question. Swiss chard is both cool tolerant and warm tolerant, depending on where you are. The perpetual spinach Swiss chard is a good one because spinach is not heat tolerant at all. It bolts very quickly. So if you're growing mustard and spinach together, you can kind of deal with that, but the Swiss chard will outperform both. If you want to try the perpetual spinach Swiss chard, it's similar to spinach, but it's a Swiss chard variety. That is a mouthful. So that is why I really love it. Like Catherine says, she says it's bomb proof. It is heat tolerant. It is cool tolerant. It is pest resistant. It can tolerate a little bit of drought, not a lot, because then the taste gets a little different. Some people prefer it raw. Some people really don't like it raw. I enjoy cooking it up just like I would spinach. So the Swiss chard is definitely a bonus. Now, another bonus to Swiss chard is depending on your weather, depending on your temperatures, you can grow this year round. I have had I had a Ford hook giant Swiss chard that grew taller than I was outside of a raised bed. Now I'm 5'3", and the picture I had, the sprout was taller than my head. So Swiss chard is definitely a good one. And once it gets that tall, it is producing some stalks for some seeds. So that's always a plus as well if you're into seed saving, which is definitely a plus. Bib lettuce has a similar appearance and texture. Harold says, I agree, Swiss chard is the toughest plant in the garden. It really is. Hey Harold, thanks for joining us. Now, Bib lettuce I mentioned earlier, it's similar to a butterhead, but it's not necessarily the same. Some are kind of a crossover. It has a similar texture and flavor to a butterhead, but it's usually smaller. So your summer Bib lettuce, for example, it's going to be a slightly smaller head. And those are really good. You can literally just collect the whole head of lettuce, and you can start harvesting depending on what you're looking for. If you want to grow for baby greens, you're looking at 20 to 40 days. If you want to harvest a larger head of Bib lettuce, you're looking at about 60 days. So 2 months is not a long time to be able to plant. And here's a little tip for you. If you don't want to have 60 heads of lettuce ready to harvest at the same time, you want to try succession planting. So let me see what I've got here just to give you an example. We've got summer Bib lettuce, okay? So the old one is 100 and the current, which we just announced, is 200, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to check my own website. But you can succession plant. So every week you can plant another row or another square. You can plant the whole seed pack and you can have a bunch ready to go, and you can harvest them at different stages of maturity. But if you want a succession plant, you can do every week or every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, even 4 weeks, depending on what your specific needs are. And with so many seeds per pack, you can definitely get a really good harvest over a longer period of time if you try succession planting. So back to the different varieties of greens. Kale. Kale is a really good one that is cool tolerant as well. And actually it gets a little bit of a sweeter flavor to it if you allow it to, if it goes through a frost. So if you already have an established kale plant and it gets a little bit of frost, it should still continue to grow and produce. One thing about kale that not everybody knows, it's considered a biennial. So that means the first year it produces leaves, and if you can keep it alive, that's the key. If you can keep it alive for a second year, hey David, thanks for joining me. You can keep kale alive for a second year, it blooms. And when that bloom dies off, it produces seeds. So that's how you harvest your kale seeds, is by allowing it to bloom and then collecting those seeds. So little extra tidbit for you as well. Now, collard greens are another one. You can plant indoors 3 to 4 weeks before your last frost date, which here is like, I think it's March 22nd. So I'm planting almost 3 weeks early before my estimated frost, but I like to be a rebel gardener sometimes. So we're going to just plant a little early and hope for the best here. Hope that everything springs up and we don't have a lot of having to replant. Or you can plant, like I said, collards go outside. I'll tell you about the square foot planting when I start planting these awesome seeds in just a second. And that's pretty much what I wanted to share as far as what the greens go. Now, we're going to talk about the square foot garden before I go ahead and plant. This is behind me is a 4 foot by 8 foot bed. If you look at my previous videos, I've got several videos on how to build what lumber to buy and how to get started basically on a raised bed. I've got a print article, which is on our website. Alan says I use 40% shade cloth in hot Houston summer. That's a very good point. I have a shaded area on that side of the garden where during the summertime, when all of the leaves are full, right now it looks kind of sad, and it gets shade most of the day. So I'm going to be planting some lettuce greens in there as well. That way, when it starts to get hot, we're going to have full shade during the bulk of the day, pretty much. So this is a 4-foot by 8-foot bed. And if you are using the square foot garden method, we're going to be using a ruler. That's 12 inches. That's going to give you 32 squares. David says, I'm going to plant more 4-season lettuce and looking forward to perpetual spinach, Swiss chard, and deer tongue lettuce. Deer tongue is a really good one as well. I'm going to be planting that one this weekend. So let's get to the raised bed. We're going to have 32 squares in a 4-foot by 8-foot bed. Okay, that's a lot of growing space. I'm going to give you a breakdown on it before I go ahead and start my seeds. Now, every single square here, I can plant anywhere from 1 seed to 16 seeds per square. So for a single 4-foot by 8-foot bed, I can plant anywhere from 32 seeds to 512 seeds. So if I wanted to fill up this raised bed, and I've got packs anywhere from 100 to 200 seeds, I could get away with 3 packs of seeds for an entire raised bed. You could do more. If you wanted to do even more, a more intensive growing, you can plant more seeds. But the most seeds generally is going to be 16. All right. Let me tell you exactly how many seeds we're going to be planting per square. Now, for collards I mentioned, you're going to be doing 1 to 4 seeds per square. So it's not a lot because collards are a big plant, and collards are one you can continue to harvest around the outer edge and it will continue to produce. That is the same with kale. That is the same with Swiss chard. That is the same with mustard and some of the lettuce greens. For kale, you're usually going to be doing 1 per square, again, because kale is so large. You could do up to 4 seeds per square if you want a more intensive gardening. Now, lettuce is 1 to 4 per square, or 16 for more intensive gardening, or if you want to harvest what we call baby greens. And baby greens are really good. I did grab 1 pack. The gourmet salad greens mix, I'm dropping seeds here on the ground. The gourmet salad greens mix is really good just for that. I used the gourmet salad greens mix in my blue barrel garden video where we cut a blue barrel in half and we use it as a planter. I planted a single pack of seeds in that blue barrel and I had so much greens. It was crazy. The chickens got tons of greens, we got tons of greens, and it was a lot. And I mean, for a very small investment, I think it's like $2 or $2.25, something like that. To be able to plant that much in that small of a space, a 55-gallon barrel isn't that big. And it didn't take up a lot of space either. So we were able to plant a lot in a very small space. Now mustard, again, very similar, is going to be 1 to 4 per square. Or if you want a more intensive gardening, you can do up to 16 per square for smaller varieties, or for smaller harvests. So if you want a baby greens in the mustard, that's a really good one as well. And you know, I found that baby greens are a little lighter on the taste. I guess you could say it's not as, some greens get bitter as they get bigger, but the baby greens are a little more sweeter. So that's a plus for some people. And then Swiss chard is 1 to 4 per square. Me personally, I like 1 per square because that Swiss chard I told you about that grew 5 feet tall took up probably 4 squares in its space. So it was definitely one of those that would have overcrowded other varieties. So let me go ahead and get out we're gonna plant something right now. but I got to go all the way around. I've been sitting on the ledge of here doing this whole time. So I have two, oops. I have two here. These are 1 foot rulers. And this will give me a chance to have an idea of where I'm going to be planting my seeds. I can actually make a square here using this. And then I can decide, do I want to do one right in the middle, or do I want to do several around the square? So I'm going to actually do a more intensive variety here. I'm going to plant at least 16, and I'm going to do the summer bib because that's a really good one. So I just make my 4 squares across and 4 squares down. It doesn't have to be super... I got bugs everywhere. It doesn't have to be something that you have to worry about or stress about. I like no stress gardening. You can even put 2 per hole just in case. You don't have to do just 1. That's 4. I'm going to show you how easy this is. This is insanely easy. All right. So I actually put more like 2 or 3 per hole just because sometimes I do like to overplant. And then what I can do then is when I thin them, I can eat them. All right, so I'm going to gently cover it up. It doesn't have to be, it should not be deep actually. You don't want to do anything deep as far as the lettuce goes because it won't be able to get through the top. Ta-da! It was that easy. All right. I think that took about 1.5 minutes to plant everything in a square. Can you grow a tall variety, 1 per square like lacinato kale, and then grow something else under it? Absolutely. You can actually plant some of the smaller greens, like I mentioned, the baby greens, like little gem lettuce or the gourmet greens mix or the leaf lettuce mix. All of those are great for baby greens. So if you want to grow one right in the middle, say your kale, and then you want to sprinkle some of the greens around the outside, you can harvest those lettuce around the outside, and then you've got 1 square that's producing much more than just kale. Cilantro is another good one. For those of you that like cilantro, it's a really hardy crop. It grows well in the heat and the cold. I mentioned earlier, it's been 22 degrees a couple times this season. Again, I'm new to East Texas, so this is all brand new to me. I saw my first snow the other day in real life. I never lived where it actually snowed right in your own backyard. So that's definitely something you could do, is planting around it. And even through those cold weather, the cilantro is still thriving. So is my garlic, by the way. It's a little on the yellow side because we have had some hard freezes lately, but it's surviving and I love it. All right, that's it for me. We talked about greens today. We talked about planting. I talked about growing in a square foot garden. I don't really miss Florida. I know my husband misses Florida a lot more. Chris Love says one of your black tomato seeds sprouted. Awesome. We actually, before, when we were looking for a property, we were looking at both, sorry, now I lost you. We were looking at both Central Florida and East Texas. And my husband is from Texas, so we knew a lot more about it. But overall, the properties worked out better for us in Texas. But we had considered moving back to Florida. That was definitely on our list. So it's really similar as far as the heat goes. The humidity isn't as much, and we don't have hurricanes here, which is kind of a plus. I'm loving it. This whole East Texas growing has been an amazing adventure, and I look forward to future videos that I can share with you what we're growing and what's going on here at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. Thank you for joining me for my live video here. I'm Mary at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. If you have questions, you can always send an email to mary@marysheirloomseeds.com, and I will try to get back to you as quickly as possible. It is absolutely crazy. We are in the spring rush right now, so it will take me a little while to get back to you as far as emails go. check out all of our videos. Check out all of our planting guides. It's in the description section of our video. I am going to finish up and get back to filling seed orders. It is almost 5:30 and I still have work to do. Thank you for joining me. I'm Mary at Mary's Heirloom Seeds, signing off, and happy planting.